different kinds of brushes. I buy them and I make them. And so the truth is, I'm probably obsessed a little bit with brushes. So I have tons of them. Okay, so people always want to know about brushwork and the way I do it and why I do it. So I started off as a painter. So I love to paint. I still paint. But I've always done brushwork on my pottery. You know, I've got photographs of pots I did in the mid-60s with brushwork on them. So I'm kind of known now for brushwork and for carving. So I use some commercial brushes, but a lot of the brushes I use, I've made. So most of these are deer tail. These little brushes are dog hair. So the story on these is that I was out of town, got a call. My dog was not doing well. So I asked them, I could not get home. So I asked that they cut some of her hair off. So these are pepper brushes, and I made the handles for them. So these work really well also. So for learning to do brushwork, what you want to do is to learn to figure out who you are and why you're doing brushwork, and that it comes from you. It doesn't come from some book or somebody else. But it takes a lot of practice to get there. So one way to practice is just get huge sheets of paper. This is just newsprint. If you can't get that, I mean, you can use newspapers are great, but since hardly anybody gets a newspaper anymore, that's hard to come by, but that's a good thing to practice on. So if you live in a place that does have a paper, the thing is to go there and see if you can get a lot of old papers and just practice on that. So this is just iron oxide and water. You can use the India ink, but this is cheaper. And this is what you'll be using later on maybe in terms of decorating on your pots. So the thing is to learn what the brush does and what you want to do with it. So you need to practice. So like, what is my brush doing? What can happen with my brush? How does it work? What do I want it to do? You want to see what happens with the brush. So if I switch brushes, they're all a little bit different. So just continue to make patterns to see what happens. How much liquid does my brush hold? What I want it to end up looking like. Oh. You know, a number of people say to me, they say, well, I'm going to go take a brushwork class so I can learn how to do bamboo and other stuff. And I tell them, that's fine to learn how to do that if that's your heritage and that's what you want to do. But you want to figure out who you are with the brushwork and where do you want it to go. So all these brushes will do a little something different. So if you want to make your own brushes, go to a shop that sells tie flying equipment. So you can buy different kind of tails from animals. As I said, I mostly use deer, but I've also made brushes out of foxtail, which is a different kind of fur. I mean, the main thing with all this anyway is to have a good time. See what happens. See what suits your hand. Okay, so this coffee mug is bisque, and I mostly do my decoration on bisqueware and then glaze over it. So I'm going to make sure that my brush has the right amount of slip on it. Well, this is actually just straight iron oxide, but that's actually what I use. So look at the mug and think about what I want on it and go for it. And then I'll often go back with another color to add a little more on it. And over the brushwork, I'm usually using a clear glaze so the brushwork shows. And this is a little vase. You want to do it, but you don't want to overdo it.